Welcome back to the Goat Marketing Show. We have Megan McDermott with us today. Thank you for joining us today, Megan. So I thought we would maybe start with some introductions. So Megan, how long have you been with Giant Goat, and what is your role with us here?
So I'm a senior developer with Giant Goat. I've been with Giant Goat for almost 3 years now, and I have over 20, almost 25 years experience in web design and development, and working with Drupal in particular since about 2005, 2006.
Amazing. Okay, so you know what you're doing here. That's quite extensive experience. That's incredible. So I know in today's episode we're going to be diving pretty deep into Drupal, and I thought maybe we could just set this stage by talking about who could really benefit from this knowledge and this episode in particular.
So this is targeted to site owners who are using Drupal, and you're using Drupal as your content management system, and you're using Drupal 7 or currently on Drupal version 8. And if you don't know what version you're on, you can log into your CMS, and in the report section, there'll be a Drupal status page that will tell you what version you're on and if there's outstanding updates that you need to run.
Excellent. So let's get into it. Why is Drupal 8 the end of life before Drupal 7?
Well, originally they were supposed to both hit end of life in November of 2021. And for Drupal 8, the reason for this was because of some underlying PHP libraries that were reaching end of life at that time. So they had to sunset Drupal 8 and ask everyone to upgrade to Drupal 9 at that point. Drupal 7, the original intention was for it to hit end of life at November 2021 as well. But as that date approached, and because of all the things organizations were experiencing due to the pandemic, the Drupal project decided to push that date out a year. It's a big project to upgrade from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, as we'll discuss a little bit more later on in the show. So that gives organizations a bit more time. Originally, it was just extended to November 2022, but just a couple weeks ago, they realized again that there are still so many sites still using Drupal 7 that haven't been able to upgrade, and it would be inappropriate for the project to end support for them at this time. So that deadline is now extended to November 2023, and the project is going to continue to reevaluate that time frame as we approach the end of life date.
Amazing. So this is quite a timely update, actually.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. And what would happen if someone was to miss the deadline?
Well, you're going to be open to security vulnerabilities if you don't do something about that. So your site could easily get hacked, and hackers will know about what the vulnerabilities are and can easily target your site. So it's important to keep your site up to date. There are organizations who offer long-term support of older Drupal versions. There are still sites out there on Drupal version 6 with a long-term support partner. So that would be an option for sites that are fine with their Drupal 7 experience now and want to stay that way.
Awesome. Give me one moment here. And so why is it so much work to upgrade from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8?
So for Drupal 8, the Drupal project made a lot of really revolutionary changes. And we talked about getting off the island and starting to do things more in the way that other developers do things in the PHP language. So this meant adopting a library called Symfony. It's a coding library. It's object-oriented programming techniques. They adopted a theme templating engine called Twig, which is really popular outside of Drupal, and really developed the code base around these technologies that other developers use. So it makes it a lot easier for other developers to get involved with Drupal and start using it and support it. But that also meant that everything was completely different moving from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8. So for example, the way that themes are developed is completely different, and we can't just move your theme over from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8. We need to do a lot of work to redevelop it using the Twig templating engine.
Gotcha. So there's a lot of adapting to the new templates and the new interfaces of Drupal 8.
Yeah, so it's not a simple migration. We have to actually like start with a fresh new Drupal 8 site, actually Drupal 9 now, moving towards Drupal 10 to be released in sometime this summer, and actually take all the content out and migrate it into a fresh new site, which is really good. We can get rid of a lot of old crufty stuff.
Right.
And by now, sites that were built on Drupal 7 are probably at least 5 years old. And you get to have, you know, things that were developed and never used, or that you use in a different way, or a lot of things have changed and evolved over that time, like mobile usage. You want to make sure that your theme is really a good experience on mobile devices. And another big change that's happened since that time is adoption of website accessibility requirements by governments in different jurisdictions. So that's another thing that you'd be able to address by really developing a website.
Right. So it's kind of an opportunity to do some spring cleaning in some regard. So it is quite an extensive process, but it could be worth it for multiple reasons. So with regards to Drupal 9, how much work is it to upgrade from Drupal 8 to 9 then?
So this is another thing that happened with Drupal 8 is that the Drupal project adopted a new way of versioning going forward so that we don't have these big revolutionary changes that require a big rebuild of the site. So moving from Drupal 8 to Drupal 9 is pretty simple. Drupal 9 is actually the same as Drupal 8, but with the same as the last version of Drupal 8, but with depreciated code removed. So moving from 8 to 9, we want to scan any custom code for any depreciated functions. And there's some tweaking of module versions because all the third-party modules have done the same, is scan through for depreciated code, modernize the way they're doing things. We want to get those versions up to the latest version for Drupal 9, and that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple update measured in a couple days time, so it's not a huge undertaking to upgrade from Drupal 8 to 9.
Good to know. So what if a contributed module is not yet available for Drupal 9?
I haven't encountered this yet. Often the version numbers might be different, or there might be a different module that does the same thing. So you might move from, so sitemap is one that creates a sitemap for search engines. It's like site_map instead of sitemap, one word. It's a new version that does the same thing. So we just have to track down what those differences are. If there is a module that you really depend on and there isn't a new version, we have a couple options. So we can, because it's open source, we can develop a new version for you. We can upgrade the code from the previous version. And that's a great thing about using open source, is that if there isn't something available that does what you need, then we can build it and contribute it to the community and work with others to make it available for everyone.
Incredible. Yeah, so everyone can it's a collaborative effort at that point.
Yeah.
What does end of life mean for Drupal 8 and Drupal 9?
So this just means that there will be no more security updates or new developments released on those versions, and everyone should move on to the next. So this summer, Drupal 10 will be coming, and we'll want to go through the same process of scanning for depreciated code and updating any module versions so we can move forward and get all the new things that are being developed for Drupal 10.
Got it. And why and when should someone consider upgrading?
So for Drupal 7, you have some flexibility. Now that the deadline has been extended again, you have some flexibility to maybe keep staying where you are for another year and then see where the deadline is at and make a plan for upgrading. You would want to make sure that you have a development partner lined up like Giant Goat, because everyone's busy and all the agencies I know are really busy. So if you start leaving it to the last minute, you might not be able to find developers who are available to help you. The other thing that you would want to do around this time is, if you're thinking about doing any design, rebranding, content strategy, any kind of work like that, is to start thinking about that now. And I know a lot of sites ended up putting off an upgrade because they wanted to do that content strategy work first. And it was going to look like it was going to be tight for them to get their upgrade done by November 2022. So now that that deadline has been extended, it gives those sites some flexibility to get all that advance ahead of time work done, but you don't want to leave that to the last minute.
Definitely not. But yeah, you're right. A lot of developers are busy. So if this is something that you're considering doing, it would be a good thing to get in touch as soon as possible. And why would you say updates are so important for websites?
Well, security is obviously one. You want to make sure that you're not running an old unsecured version and you're open to hacking or security threats. But another reason is just a periodic refresh. Make sure the site is user-friendly. Make sure it's following government guidelines like for accessibility. Make sure it's responsive for mobile devices. And make sure that your editors are having a good experience editing things. And if these things get left and get stale and out of date, then it seems like everything is bad and you need to start over, and that can be very expensive. So if you keep updating continuously and refresh things periodically, then everything stays fresh and you don't end up with these huge expensive redesigns of everything that can cost your organization a lot of money.
Right. It can kind of bridge that gap between that massive update by making constant updates, like as you go. Gotcha. And is there anything else that you think would be important for our viewers to know with regards to all the Drupal updates and changes that are happening?
Well, I think that's really it for now. Drupal is really always evolving and improving the editor UX. There's a new admin theme coming out that came out with more recent versions of Drupal 9 that makes the whole editing experience feel a lot more modern and fresher and quicker. So you want to keep up with those updates so everything really feels modern and fresh, both to your website visitors and to people who are editing the content.
Amazing. Thank you. That's really incredible insight for internal teams and like how your website looks externally. So thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with us and spending this beautiful afternoon with us.
You're welcome. Yeah, Drupal is a really flexible CMS, and if it appears that it doesn't do it out of the box, we can make it happen through custom work or combination of different modules and things like that. So there's a lot of great things that you can do with it.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing your expertise, Megan, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.